Hello, 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 everyone. How's it going? Long time no see. Okay. So, yeah. Hi, welcome back, everyone. Hopefully, you had a nice break. You had lunch, dinner, breakfast, snacks, something. I definitely had lunch. So, yeah, good morning. Okay. So, good to be back. Let's wait for a couple of minutes. And meanwhile, if you haven't already, please register for this second session here. Okay, please register here. This would be very much appreciated if it helps keep track for you, for me, for everyone, right? Let me reduce the volume a bit. Uh, yep, that should be all right. So, hello again. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Uh, Feels good to be back. Okay, so for folks who are joining me for the first time right now, uh, as in like the first session, let me tell you, this is the second session of our interactive maps visualization, I would say. What are we doing? We are building maps and we are visualizing pieces of data. The first one was visualizing state and city data. We have a JSON file of the states in India and their capitals, the capitals, latitude and longitude. And we used Plotly. Specifically, we used the scatter map box and we also used the choropleth map box to visualize this data. And yeah, that's what we have been doing so far. We are using Streamlit as well, uh, so that we can see it on the web, which just looks nice. And yeah, any questions, anyone? For folks who are joining me for the first time, as in like first session, and you don't have the code, uh, I'll request you to create an account on Replit because then you can follow along quickly. You don't have to do the environment setup. Uh, all you need to do is, yeah, just have that. Have a Replit account, use the Python template, and you can find the code that we have done so far on the link that I have just now sent in the chat. Okay. So yeah, with that outside, like out, let me just quickly revisit what we have done so far, like how it looks like. So we have our main.py where we are importing bunch of functions that are coming from different files. In this case, it's coming from state city map.py. Okay, so that we have. uh, what else do we have? So in our main.py, we are also using Streamlit to set some things. We have a sidebar dictionary, which lots of sidebar. What would be the best way to actually have it up and running, right? So to run this, we do like Streamlit run main.py, hit enter, and no, I don't want to share my email, and it should do something. It should open a web view specifically. If it opens the web view, you don't have the URL, like you cannot see anything. Now there are two ways to see something. The first way would be like, let's say you can maximize this web view pane, click on the show web content, wait for it to load, and then click on this new tab option, okay, which is on top right. Click on that. That should open in a new tab. You come back, minimize this, and that's it. You have the web view open. The second way would be to click on this networking tool button, click on the dev URL, which will open again the same thing. So yeah, you could use either of those two things to view the output of the content. And yeah, I was talking about the sidebar dictionary. So that comes from like this piece of code where we have like this two sidebars. Uh, we are calling the functions here. That's all right. State city map. We have a state city data JSON and a GeoJSON file, which we use for choropleth map. Let's talk about just the first one. We created a scatter map box where we read the data and plotted it on a map box, like plotted it on a map. And this is what it looks like. There's the map of the countries. Specifically, we are interested in India because that's what we are plotting, like the capitals of states in India. So this is what it looked like. Then we also created something called as a choropleth map where we provided our own layout, like the coordinates of the borders of the state. Okay. So you can view that here. Once you go there, you'll have to wait because it loads the whole coordinates and then plots out the area in a way of the capital places, the states of the capitals that we are plotting. Yeah. So you might have to wait a bit. And once it's done, you can see what it looks like. Okay. And it looks too light because we have done something like setting up the opacity. So you can go like zero point 0.9 opacity, come back. There should be a rerun option, which basically tells it to reload the code. So once you do that, it should then show it to you like much better, much deeper, darker, you can say like more opaque. Yeah, that should be the correct word. And yeah, that's it. And once you hover over it, you can see like the name of the state, the capital city. That's what we have done till now. Let me move out of your way so that you can focus only on the screen. And before going, I was talking about that, what are different things, different map box styles. So we know there was OpenStreetMap, and we also found like the Carto Positron. uh let's also, oh, uh I like the previous one. I mean, totally goes with what you would prefer, I would say. uh I also like found a few other options on Stack Overflow. Let me try it. Like, I haven't tried it because I did not want to disturb the code that we had. So there's Carto Dark Matter. Okay. So once we do this, and I'm changing this on the scatter map box, okay? Because that's easy to load slash easy to reload. Okay. So dark matter, you can see the map, but in dark mode. That's what dark matter does. So the whole map, but in dark mode. I don't know. I mean, you can decide if it looks good or bad. I think it would look good on the uh, choropleth map, but that's just my assumption. I have a question: is Streamlit used in real proposal projects? Yes, it is actually. Uh, I would say, fortunately, unfortunately, like for some, uh, actually, it is used. My company does use it uh, in our day-to-day work as well. So yes, it is. It is definitely. I know, right? It does look pretty good, the dark mode, but definitely try it out in choropleth map. Uh, right now, I'm just experimenting with a bunch of options that I have found, and I don't want to like make Replit do heavy uh, heavy CPU consumption. Yeah, there is Carto Positron, OpenStreetMap, Carto Dark Matter. There's also something called as hopefully this works. Stamen dash terrain. Let me go here, reload, and let's see how that works out. Or if it actually does work out. I mean, looks exactly same to me. So I don't know. I don't think it changed. Let me reload the whole page. If okay, so it didn't work out. Okay, so Stamen terrain did not work out. I think there is a Stamen dash toner. I'll just quickly try out every possible thing that I found on Stack Overflow. Nope, this doesn't work out as well. Stamen dash water color. Let's see. Nope. Okay, so the things that have worked out for us, uh, base map style, and let me add other options. Uh, open dash street dash map, uh, car to dash positron, and car to dash dark matter. And for these ones, I would say like maybe it requires a Mapbox account. I am not too sure. So maybe that's something that you could look at. Oh, it has changed apparently. Requires a account. So that's why maybe that's not working. So I will go back to using OpenStreetMap for this one. Go back and just do a reload. We should get something this time. Yep. And for the second one, which was our choropleth map, I will give it car to dark matter. Okay, wait for it to load. And now, after this, we are going to go to the third project for this session. And I hope we complete it within the time frame. Not too sure if we would be able to. But if not, then we have a third and final session again tomorrow. So, we can complete it in the next session. Mm, it's just taking too much time to load. Let's wait for it to load. Yep, there we go. That's Carto Dark Matter for you. Now, let's create the third one. Okay. So I'm going to create another Python file and I am going to name it as AA underscore flight underscore paths dot py. Okay. AA is American Airlines, and I got the data set of their flight path. So I am going to plot those flight paths on on a map. Okay, so let's start with that. But before that, we need to actually get the data set, right? So I am going to create AA underscore flights underscore paths underscore data dot csv file. Okay, So it's going to be a CSV file. I will upload the data that I have, and then I'll share the link to this. Okay. So what does the data contain? It contains a start latitude and start longitude of the plane, the end latitude and the end longitude, the airline, which in this case, all of them are AA, uh, the airport one, like let's say the start, and airport two would be kind of the end. And I'm saying, like, it says airport 1 and airport 2 specifically because it's not defining that it's starting from here ending there, could be other way around. But so, like, in our case we can just say airport 1 to airport 2 is the flight path, and they have these three letter code, the international, I think it's called IAC code, not too sure, but every airport has a three digit international code which is used to identify it. Uh, so yeah, airport 1 to airport 2, and the count is the number of flights that flew between that airport 1 to airport 2. Okay, so that is the data that we have, and the plot that I'm going to, like, I'm thinking of, that should be plotted for this would be like on the map we should show a line of like each flight path. Okay, I think that would be the coolest looking thing for flight paths. If you have used something called as flight tracker, was it flight radar, I think. So like let's say uh, flight radar, then kind of shows you this line. Now we are not going to go into this much detail, also this is live updating, we don't have that kind of data, but just imagine like a line which shows like, from here to somewhere there it's going. So we are going to kind of plot something very similar on the map. So for anyone who has never seen this website, let me send this in the chat. Okay, also I think by now the data should, like, Replit should have loaded the data. Okay, not yet. So basically Replit sometimes takes some time to sync the data. Might have to reload this whole thing, so let me stop Streamlet, let me reload the whole page, hardly reload. Let me go back to incognito, paste this, and nope, still not there. So we'll wait for the data to be synced across. Can I like publish again? I don't know. Oh, there's like click unpublish kind of option. We'll wait for that to load, but meanwhile you can still code along. The only difference would be that you won't see. Oh, what am I doing? The only difference would be that you won't see the data. Okay, and yeah. So what are we going to use now? In this case, I am going to use a new library which is called as Folium. Okay, so let me share the link in the chat quickly. So we are going to use a new data visualization library. Previously we used Plotly to plot the maps, but I also wanted to show you that there are other libraries. Okay, so what is Folium? It very simply, it allows you to plot things on map. It uses leaflet.js internally, Python data, leaflet.js maps. So leaflet.js, JavaScript library. for interactive maps, right? So Folium uses the leaflet.js mapping and is it does the Python stuff from itself, like Python with JavaScript in a way. And it's simple. You basically we are going to install Folium and then we start using it. Okay, there are multiple things that are available. Even this has the default styles are set to OpenStreetMap, but a selection of tile sets are also built in. So there's like this CartoDB positron. Remember we used CartoDB positron here, and you can choose one of the options from here. Like all of these should work as far as I have understood. So these are the other options that could be used. Some of them might require you to like create an account, log in or something. So we are going to use the default option that's available. But yeah, just to let you know that yeah, there are the providers available. And okay, so let's start. So step one, where did I get the data CSV? So this data actually I got it from I think Plotly's data set. So the data set for this one comes from Plotly, but I'm not using Plotly to plot it. That is a tongue twister again. So uh, otherwise, you can find data sets from Kaggle. I just normally Googled for data sets. I actually went into a few GitHub repositories for a few data. So like tomorrow we are going to plot some data, which would be like which I had web scraped previously, like in the past. So different ways of getting the data. Definitely check out GitHub for like you will find some or the other data set there. Like it is quite popular place to find data set. Kaggle is definitely other. Uh, I know for a fact that there are a few data sets depending on what you are looking for. You can actually find data set on government websites as well. Let me come back on screen so that body language helps a bit. So you can actually find data sets on government websites. So example, I think government of UK has a dataset library. I know that government of India has a dataset library. I know the US government has a few like has a dataset library depending on what you want. So like I think for government of UK I have seen housing datasets that are kind of quite popular. For government of India, I have seen a bunch of data sets, election results, forest cover, uh, companies data set that are present in India. For US, I have seen a lot, ranges from like food consumption. I think I've seen one. I have seen about transport a bit, and I mean they have open data sets definitely. So you can kind of find those data sets, but again depends on what you are looking for. There is like let's say if you want about countries, okay, uh map like data set of countries. So there is this website that I found which had map data sets of different countries. So yeah, depending on what you want, you can actually kind of find it. So if you open the link that I had shared, you can download the spatial data by country. There's a drop down. Actually, let me show it to you. Yeah, so there is spatial data, and you go here. You can go like download by country. Like let's say I want for Australia, and sometimes it takes a bit of time, but it kind of loads a map of the place. You can find a geo package file, some zip files about their latitude and longitude. Okay. So yeah, and definitely good shout by Shamari here. Uh, Open data sets kind of yield good results. Cool. Thank you so much. Let me go out of your way, and now we can focus on coding again. I am basically waiting for this to sync across, and it has. Nice. Okay, so if you open the link that I have just shared, you should find the flight paths data in a CSV, like, and ensure that you name it the same way that I have done so that there's no confusion about what are we importing. Okay, so moving on. Now let's hopefully like I'll wait actually for a couple of seconds. Everyone, please make sure that you have the data, and if someone can give me a shout in the chat that you are done importing, that would be great. Okay, perfect, done. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Cool, 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 cool. Okay, moving on. Now, what's the first step that we are going to do? We are going to import pandas as PD. You're also going to import Streamlit as ST, like renaming it to its smallest, no, not smallest, to short version. And now we are also going to import Folium. Okay, Folium. But this is a library that has not been installed. That's not installed. In the past, I told you that you can click on the run button, and Replit is smart that it understands what you want and installs it. Like it understands any missing library that you're using and installs it. But this time, let's do it the hard way. Let's do a pip install Folium. So I'm going to copy that. I am going to come here and I'm going to like go in the shell. Okay, check the name out, shell. In the shell, I'm going to do pip install Folium. So let me also share this quickly with you all. Uh, so if you're doing it locally, so now you know specifically what to like, what to run, what to install, something like that. Okay. So once you have done that, once it's installed, uh, it's still grayed out, but it will be resolved soon. Let me assure you that. So I'm checking Discord because I've a couple of pings from few people. Uh, okay. So yeah, we have imported Folium, and let's move on. So the first step would be let's give a path to data. Okay. And this time we are going to load this AA flights. So I am going to go like copy file path, going to come and paste here. It's basically the name of the file, okay, because we are in the same directory, so it doesn't matter as such. But just to let you know that you can do something like that. Now let's create a function. So I'm going to call it AA underscore flight underscore paths. So this is the function. Step one, we have always, I say always, but till now we have done this, that AA flight paths. Okay, so we have a subheader. And once we have done this, we need to go to our main.py and we should also import this. Let me reduce the size of this a bit. So let's import this. Now this is coming from a different file, so I need to do like from aa underscore flight underscore paths import the function name. Now interestingly, in our case, the name of the function is same as the name of the file, because that's kind of a convention that I like. But you can have a different name function, that's totally on you. And this I'm going to call aa flight paths. And again, this is a function, and this is what we have done. You can always right click and click on format document to format it. Okay, or you can do control s or command s if you're on Mac. So yeah, anything works. Format document. And so as you can see, it just adds a bit of space here and there, makes it more good looking. So add a subtitle. That's all we are doing. Now let's go to our Streamlit application, which has failed because we have stopped it. So let's come back, sorry. And we go to our shell. You can click on this clear shell button to clear out everything. And all we need to do is Streamlit run main.py, hit enter, let it load, click on networking tool, let's say, and open it. Close this. And if I go to AA flight paths, this is what it is. Now, every time I open it, it goes to the first option by default. So I'm going to do one thing. I am going to cut this from here and paste it at the top. Also, don't forget the comma. Okay, comma after this. And I'm going to do Control S slash Command S to save it and format it more like. Okay. So now if I go back and do a hard reload, the first option should be AA flight paths. That's it. I am sure there must be a way in Streamlit where you can tell it that, by default, select this particular option. But I'm not going to search for it. You can think of it as a homework thing, kind of, to quickly look up or look into. Okay, so that's it. So now let's go back to our AA flight paths and let's write the next piece of code. So what's the next piece of code going to be? Well, we should read the data, right? So we can go like flight underscore paths equals to, we are using pandas, like we have imported that. So we can do pd dot read underscore CSV. Okay, this time CSV. Previously we were using JSON because it was JSON file, but now we use read CSV because it is a CSV file, comma separated values. Yep. Path to data. So path to data points to this variable that we have right here. And let's show this. So st.data frame. Let's show this on the UI. And we were doing like flight underscore paths, right? That's what we have done previously. Now you can rerun or reload. And this is what we see. Now, my quick question for you all, if I want to hide this particular column, what do I do? We have done this in the past. Would appreciate if anyone answers. Hide index. Yep, perfect. Uh, so yeah, let's do that. I don't want that auto-generated column to be there. So we can go like hide underscore index equals to true. Okay. So now let's come back. You can click on rerun and that's gone. But there is still one problem. Now in this data, the problem is there is no column which has like a counting numbers. Like there's no proper index column. And we have also hidden the index. Like we are so smart. And we cannot rely on the start latitude or start longitude because it's just very difficult to read. I would prefer if we can somehow add a index column which starts from 1 and like goes up to the last. So let's do that. So we are reading the data here. So let me again add a quick comment. This would be load data from CSV into data frame. So that's what we are doing in like the line below. Now the next part is to add a column called row ID at the beginning. So that's what we are going to do. So what are we like first step one? What are we going to? Where are we going to insert that? We are going to, of course, call this data frame that we have, which is called flight paths. And interestingly, there is an option called as dot insert. Okay, a function called as dot insert, which takes in a location, like at which position do you want to insert the data, and you can also give it the name of the column. So as you can see here, the name of the column and the value that you it needs. So you want to insert it at position 0, like that's the beginning of everything. So position 0, we have to give it the name, the column name. So we will call it like, let's say, row ID. That's what kind of I chose. And we are going to tell it like what will be the value. So the value is going to be a range. Okay. So what is a range? A range is kind of like an iterable in Python. You can give it a start and you can also give it an end. So 1 plus that length of flight underscore paths. So if there's like 100 data, so then it will plot from 1 to 100. We are doing a 1 plus because that's how Python works. So the range value kind of goes beyond, like the length would give us a value. We add 1 plus to it so that we reach the last position. Like let's see what it does. Row ID starts from 1 and it goes up to 178. If I don't do this 1 plus, then what happens? Let me reload. Length of values 177 does not match the length of index 178. So there is a problem. Like we are counting more, the data is more, we're counting less kind of logic. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we have a row ID column that is inserted at position 0. Okay, and has like numbers, like we are just counting numbers. Okay, and now what is this particular line doing? This is just display data on on wait, in a table. Okay, now next bit. So till now all we have done is we have seen the data, we have kind of shown the data on the screen. Also there's, if I have not said this previously, like you can zoom or maximize this. There's a download button and there's also a search button. You can search for a particular thing like BHM. Let's say there's one result. What about BDL? It says like there are three results for it. Is this too zoomed out? Yep, this should be better. Three results for it, and you can like ask it to choose, kind of. Okay. Coming back now, the next step would be to actually create a folium map. Now, how do we create a folium map? Let's go back to the documentation. And in the documentation, they say that a very basic example of creating a map, you do M, or like you can give this any name, of course. So M or map equals to folium.map, and you provide a location. Now, this is the initial location. You can think of it as the initial location at which it should focus on. If you remember from our like previously drawn maps, we kind of gave it a center, like what should the center look like and how much should we zoom in or zoom out initially. So that's the same thing that we are going to do with folium here. So let's come back to our code and we go like map is equal to folium dot map. We have to give it an initial location. So location equals to, now what's the location that they have given? So this is the location that they have given. And let's see, let's actually just try and return this. Return map. Let's see what happens if actually something does happen. Nothing. Can't see anything. Okay. What's the other option? I want to show this on UI. I cannot do st.plotly underscore chart because, well, this is not plotly. But let's try it. Okay. For the sake of trial, let's quickly try it. Plotly, like st.plotly does not work. So that's bad. Uh, the other option would be we can kind of do something like st.write and map. If let's see if that works out fine. So there is something, but it's definitely not what we want. Okay, that is bad. I think there was one more thing that I wanted to try before I show you the actual solution. Like, let me remember. Hmm. Sorry, give me 1 second. I'm trying to remember because that was interesting. Like, I had to go down a rabbit hole of understanding why is it not getting plotted. So that is why I'm like trying to show you, like, you can actually come across that kind of error and you will be like, okay, what is happening here? Okay, I think it was this return. There is a st dot markdown where you can tell it the map is the value that the variable that we have dot underscore represent underscore html. Okay, and then you go like unsafe underscore allow html equals to true. So when I was preparing for this session, I was looking at like documentation, Streamlit documentation, and everywhere this was suggested. Okay, not this apparently. I think there's an underscore here as well. Yep. So this is what I got. And I was like, wait, I don't think this will work out. It is actually properly HTML. And as you can see, it basically says st.markdown of that HTML. So this was a bad idea in general. But interestingly, all the documentation that was there about it kind of suggested that this is the way. So I was like too curious and I'd kind of given up on that until like I went down to Stack Overflow's, I think a very old answer. And someone was like, you know what? You can save the HTML. If it's an HTML, so this kind of returns a HTML. So you can actually save that HTML and then just show that. And I was like, oh wow, that is a cool idea. So that's what I did. So now let's do that. So step one, we can go like map dot save, and we will give it a name. I'm going to give it like flight underscore paths dot html. Okay, so you can save that, and now we just have to read the HTML file. So here I'm going to comment save it as HTML, and then we are going to open the HTML file and read. So I go like HTML file equals to step one, open it. And what's the name of the file? So it is like flight paths dot html. So this, we are going to open it in a read mode, and you can also inform that it is a UTF-8 encoding. So UTF-8 is the character set that it uses. So you can kind of do that. And then you can give a new variable here, like to read it. So my map equals to HTML file dot read the contents, and then we have to display this, right? So we will use a library for that, which comes from like Streamlit itself. It's called, I think it should be imported. Import Streamlit dot components dot v1 as components. Okay, so we are going to use this components dot, I think there's HTML on it, and you can tell it like, okay, my map, and you can give it a height if you want. So height equals to, let's say, 700. And I think that should be it. Let's come back and let's reload and let's see what happens. And there we go. So this is the exact same map, sorry, map that you see here. Okay, now going back, I think I have a bunch of comments. I haven't been just passing realize it's about maps. You need streamlit underscore folium to show folium maps. Okay, so this particular comment, I would just say that I did try Streamlit Folium, but for some reason it was taking more time to load. Also, like I'll show that I think tomorrow. That once, like when we actually have to make a network request, or if the data is coming from a network request, it actually sends a network request on every load. So I will show that tomorrow, and then I'll show you like I actually kind of solved that error because of like saving it as a HTML file. I could see that it kind of reduced the problem of sending a network request every time, or it was maybe sending, but I was like not waiting enough. I did not have to wait enough. I think the documentation says that yes, like that's what I initially had started with, but I got sucked into like Streamlit. What? How can I show it on Streamlit? Uh, so I had to come back and kind of do this later. But yeah, that was actually a good one. I appreciate this definitely, and appreciate this definitely. Uh, and we can actually kind of see both of them tomorrow. I mean, Streamlit Folium. We can see Streamlit Folium tomorrow, and we can see the problem it caused, at least for me, and maybe the solution that I have kind of works. Okay, anyways, so that's how, like, we have created a Folium map, we saved it, and we opened it. So everything is fine and dandy till now. The only problem is we are not still plotting the data that we are supposed to plot. So let's do that. Uh, okay, also once we have done all of that, then we can give things like these a try. Okay, things like these being like, how can you give it a different tile set? Can we have the recording for this? I think it should be on YouTube. So let me share the part 1 link and part 2 link as well. So this is the part 1, and part 2 is should be live actually right now. Let me find Major League Hacking. Yep, and that's my voice. Oops. Yeah, I had to like quickly Google, sorry, YouTube that, and there you go. So part 1 and part 2 links are in the chat. Sorry, they went together. I thought there would be some space. My bad. Okay. Uh yeah, could be. Yes, definitely could be. Uh okay, coming back. So let's now plot the data actually for like the thing that we have been waiting for. Let's do that. Uh so once we have created the map, now hmm. So step 1 would be like we need to iterate it in not iterate uh through the iterate over the data frame rows. So that's what we need to do first. We need to iterate over it. So we can go like for row, for index comma row comma, not full stop, sorry, my bad, for index comma row in flight underscore paths dot iter rows. Okay, gives you an iterable. And in this case, we will first create a variable called as start coords. Okay, so start coordinates, where we say that it is going to be a tuple of, like, we need to find this row, and the name of the column will be start lat. Okay, so we are creating a tuple of like start latitude and start longitude, which will be my start coordinates of where to start the line from. And then we also need the start underscore lon, so start longitude in a way. So this should give me the start coordinates of the line. Next, we need the end coordinates. So end underscore coords should be a tuple of number 1 end lat, and come out of that and we go like row of end underscore lon. Okay, now I would say that you could do one thing here just for the sake of like what's happening. You can do like something like, what does this give? St dot right, and I will say start codes is like the start coordinates comma end codes is this end coordinates. Okay, just to see like what happens here, what does it show. So this is what is happening. All it does is gives me this thing. So you should add your own print statements whenever you feel like, okay, I don't know what is this doing, what's happening here, what's the magic happening. In that case, you can just add a print statement to understand what is exactly happening. And as you can see, it's like 32.896, which I think here it's been reduced uh, to 3 decimal, but this is the exact thing that it's giving. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to actually remove that part. That was just to show you what it gives. And once that is done, we can actually plot a line. So in Folium, if I go here, I, vectors such as lines. Okay, perfect. So to draw a line, you use folium.polyline, and then you have to give it a bunch of things. Definitely, you need to give it the location. So trial coordinates is basically this first part, which is the location, and location is always a tuple of like a start and end point, right? So array of multiple things, and that's how it can plot a line. And that is the same thing that we are going to use. So folium.polyline. So I have created a variable called as line, and that is nothing but folium dot poly lines. I don't remember L capital. Yep, poly and L capital line. Okay, so folium dot polyline, and now you need to provide it a bunch of things. Now in our case, the first thing would be the start and end coordinate. So it's called locations. Okay, and that will be my start coords comma end underscore coords. Yep. So that's what Folium needs. Let me see if I can format this document. Okay, doesn't change much. So start coordinates and end coordinates, and then what's next? It also does this something called as dot add to m. Okay, in our case we can actually use something called as map dot add underscore child, which is a line. The line comes from here. Okay, so now let's see if what does this give out. Let me reload, and there are actually a couple of lines. Very messy. I had to like first of all I had to zoom out. Also, yeah. What's the coordinate of like what's the best coordinate for this? So the best coordinate initially can be or should be 37.09 and minus 95.71. And you can also set a zoom level. So zoom start. So initially what should be the zooming level, and that is zoom start equals to 4. You can set that. And now let me go back and reload. So this time it should start at least where the lines start, and this is how much zoomed out it is. And as you can see, there are a bunch of lines that get plotted. Okay, now let's talk about the problems in this. Like it does plot the lines, but can I get information of which flight line is this? Like if I hover over it, doesn't give anything. Okay, doesn't say anything. And so that is the first thing that we need to fix. Let me come back on screen, and after this we'll take a break first, and then we'll come back and fix all this. So number one, I don't like that it has lines all are in the same color. So we need to kind of change the colors. On hover, it does not tell me what this line is, like which flight is this line for, from what start to what end, nothing. So we need to fix that. So there are two things. Third, a few bits and pieces of customization, like can we make it look pretty? Okay. uh yeah, I think these are the three main things that I am going to focus on initially. Okay, so any questions anyone so far? So for now, what have we done? We have plotted the lines that came from the data set, but just looks ugly and does not look understandable. Okay, any questions, anyone so far? Anything before we go on a 10-minute break and then we'll be back? I will take the silence as golden. Let me quickly put a banner, a ticker slash banner. The time here is like exactly 1600. So 1610. So 10 minutes from now. Perfect. Okay, folks. See you in 10 minutes. Have a quick break, drink some water, and be back. Hello, hello, hello. I'm back. Let me hide this and change the music a bit. Nope. Ah, yep, good. Yep. Okay, so back. Yes, back. So before going on break, we were discussing about the things that definitely I don't like about this whole thing. Right? So let's start resolving issues one by one. Now, I remember someone asking in the chat, any challenge for us? I have a challenge for you, definitely, like for everyone, not you specifically or anything, but for everyone. Let me go away from screen. Yep. So the challenge is, um, okay, I think this is more of a talking aspect. So let me come back. Okay, so the challenge is that you have to write a function that can generate random colors. Now, while I like currently everything looks the same color, so I'm going to create a color palette which will be specific color names, and that's it. Like that's what I'm going to do. But my challenge for all of you is that can you write a function which generates random colors and then use it in the next part that we are going to do, the folium part. Okay. And also let me tell you, I am not too sure if it will work. Sorry, I am not too sure if it will work, but for some reason I feel that it might. That is why my challenge. And to give you a hint for like, definitely, if you have never done this before, if you're confused and if you're a beginner, the hint is that any color can be represented as three values. Like we have a tuple of start and end coordinate, right? Which has like two values, latitude and longitude. Similarly, a color is nothing but a tuple of three values, R, G, and B, right? So can you try to do that? Uh, okay, there is this comment that can you give us the complete code? I don't have the code, unfortunately, for random color generator. I would be excited to see it tomorrow if someone does it. If not, then normally what I do is after the end of my stream, I push everything to my GitHub. So maybe I'll take 1 or 2 days and try and add that particular piece of code where I do the random color generation. Okay, but for now I don't have it. It's just like when I was developing this, I kind of had this thought that, oh, this could also be done. Okay, so yeah, with that, let me go out. You can focus on this code and the screen, and let's start resolving the issues. So the first issue is colors. Okay, so before we iterate over the data frame, we can do define a list of colors. So colors equals to, it is going to be an array of, I am going to literally write color names. So red, blue, RGB, right? So red, green, blue. Then we can have purple, orange. I think there's dark red. There's pink. There's dark blue. There's beige. There's light red as well. Don't forget the commas, okay? Please don't forget the commas. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to be like, what's missing? What's happening? Line too long. Let's shorten it. Okay, so I did Command S, or you can do Control S, Command S, whatever, to basically format it. Dark blue, beige, light red, uh, We have dark green as well. We can have light green as well. Uh, Dark green, light green, dark blue. We can have light blue as well. We can have black. We can have gray. We can have what? I think there should be light pink. Okay, I think this should be enough right now, at least for now. Okay, so these are all the colors, and I will start with a color index, initial color index as 0. Okay, now once we have defined our start and end coordinates, then the next step would be select a color for the airline. So in this case, I will say that there's a variable color, okay, which is nothing but from this array. So colors, we tell it the color index modulo length of colors. And then we also need to increment this color index. So color index plus equal to 1. So since this is inside a for loop, what is happening is we pick out a particular color for each flight path. Okay. And then once like the loop runs again, like, and once it picks it, like initially it will pick the zeroth color, then it will increment by 1, and then 1 divided by whatever the length is, then it will pick something, pick something, pick something, pick something, blah blah blah, like not divided, modulo, so remainder. Okay. And yeah, I think so that should be good, at least on that perspective. We have the locations defined. The next step would be we need to tell it to pick a certain color. So color equals to, so this color is the parameter that exists on folium.polyline, and then we will pass it our variable, which is color. Okay, now let's see if this works out fine, and let me like reload. Perfect. So it did work out fine. So there are different colors for every flight path. Okay. Still not enough, but at least there's something, right? So like let's say like blue is repeating. That's okay. As long as we can distinguish it properly, it is still fine. So you can add more colors to this. Uh, I don't know if there's a dark pink. You can also have like white. You have cyan. You have magenta. Not too sure if all of them will work, but should be something. Also, every time it will be a separate set of colors for everything. Uh, okay, so that is wow, a lot of flights go from here. So that's the color aspect. What was okay? Sorry, I have a written requirement. I will try and add it, but like give me some time. Towards the end of the session, I'll do that. What was the build command again? So the build command was streamlit run main.py. Okay. So this is nice. This color index. Hmm, we are using it, right? Okay. So There is a better option, you can use enumerate. uh, Definitely fix the code. I'm not saying this is like the best code that you can write. This is a code, a way of coding that you can do, but of course there are fixes that you can do. Now the next part would be the pop-up. Okay, so this is the interesting and the second interesting part, which would be when I hover over a line, it should show me something. So I'm going to use a Python F string, which allows me to basically like add variable names while like in the string itself. So I'm going to tell it step one, show the row ID, so that it is very easy for me to kind of determine this line corresponds to which row ID. And then it should also show me row of like airport 1. Okay, so like this is like the from, and then the two part, it should also show me the two. So row of airport 2, and then I think like let's say this should be enough for now. What does this do? Let's check that out. Okay, so if I like reload, and now if I hover over the line, kind of click on it, it says like this is like the row ID 159 HNL to SFO. HNL is Honolulu, it seems. If I, yep, Honolulu, it seems. So HNL to SFO line 159 or row index 159. So let's quickly check that out. So 159 would be this one, HNL to SFO. Okay. So now on ho- not hover, click on of every line, you can actually see from and to, lax to HNL, HNL to ORD. And I think that kind of adds much more value to this, right? This makes suddenly much more sense as to like, okay, where is this going from and where is this going to? Okay. So yeah, that was actually the second part. Now this line, like row ID, then colon, and then row of airport 1. Airport 1 comes from our CSV file. Airport 2 comes from CSV file. If you want, you can also show another data, which is like count, yeah, or number of flights. And in this case, you can say flights colon or flights dash row of uh, oh, it needs to be in curly brackets, row, and then you can tell it to actually check the count column. So now what will happen is it will also show the number of flights that are going. 56. Okay. Flights 56, like 56 flights are flying from here. Don't need to plot everything. So I like I don't see this as like a very good thing to plot or interesting thing to plot. So I'm going to remove that. And this is what we are left with. Anything else that is there? I think there is an option to change the weight of the line. So weight equals to, let's say if I do 10, okay, and come back, rerun, you kind of understand what it's doing. Ideally, I would like to keep it like maybe 2. Yep, thin enough, but still understandable enough. Mm, I don't know. One, how does one look? Still fine, I would say. Of course, feel free to remove the colors that are not exactly visible. And yeah, that kind of brings us to the end of what I wanted to do, at least today. Uh, Let me try if we can choosing a tile set. I want to see if we can do this. Tiles as CartoDB positron. Uh, so when we created the map, we gave it a zoom level. What if I give it a zoom level of 8? And we did something. Okay, this is a different looking map for sure, like different from what it was previously. Zoom level 8 does not look good, so we can make that 4. And if there is a CartoDB positron, what did we have for the dark mode one? That was dark matter. Again, I'm going to try it. I don't know if it will work, but let's say CartoDB space dark matter. Rerun this. Okay, this works. Nice. So I think this looks much better for some reason. That's our, but you should then remove the black lines, like as in the black color. Hmm. Yep. Okay. So by default, it is open street map, but you can do CartoDB positron and CartoDB dark matter as well. Let me put that in chat. CartoDB. Let me actually put that line, complete line. Hmm. Okay, so yeah, these two things. Ignore the dashes. I just put that to differentiate between those two things. Uh, so yeah, you can use this to have different colored tiles. If you don't use anything, that's OpenStreetMap for you. Uh, is it possible to change the line to dash? And it seems like there is a answer slash solution. You can use dash underscore array equals to 10 inside polyline to make it dashed. So let's give it a try. Let's go back and let's reload this. Oh, not dashed, dash underscore array. Sorry, my bad. I read it wrong. Yep, sorry. Yeah, there you go. You can now have a dashed lines. Perfect. Looks good, definitely, right? I am going to change this to light mode for the time being. Uh, Okay, so there we go. Thanks to one mountain one, we now know how to have a dash link. And thanks to the innovator for the question. And I will send the link to the code. There's the link to the code, which has everything. And I think I formatted it enough. Perfect. Okay, what's next in this? Now, while this looks nice, this looks good, I think one last element that I would like to try is to add a custom icon. Okay. So, what do I mean by that? I mean, like literally a custom icon that I can plot, like a aeroplane icon. Like if that would be possible, that's good. Now, let me tell you, when I was preparing for this session, that looked like a good idea, and I tried that, but for some reason my planes went all over the place, as in like they were not exactly on the line. Okay. And so like after thinking a lot about it, I kind of was like, okay, maybe the reason is I need to do some mathematical calculation to keep it in place, keep the icon in place in a way. uh yeah, just wanted to let you all know, like I will show you how you can do it, but I'm not going to do the mathematical calculation right now. Also because we only have like 20ish minutes to end the session. So yeah, without wasting too much time, let's get into it quickly. Okay, so we are going to add a custom icon. Now the custom icon is going to come from where? It is, okay, we can load it actually from icons out. I think that would be good. Okay, so let me share the link in the chat. So I am going to use this particular icon. Okay, shout out to icons out. So credit, okay, credit due, no, credit given where it's due. Yes, so this is the icon that I'm going to use, and we are going to use this plain icon on the map, kind of show how we can use a custom icon. Doesn't have to be plain, but plain sounds about right because we are plotting flight paths, right? Okay, so where do we start? So actually, it doesn't have to be like, it's not that much of a change. So we have done everything till line. So everything till folium polyline is okay. I don't want the dash I, sorry. Right now, let's keep it like a proper solid line. And okay, so after this, we just need to calculate. Actually, not even after this. Yeah, after this. Calculate midpoint. Calculate midpoint. So midpoint of the line is what I was trying to calculate, and for some reason it was going horribly wrong. So midpoint equals to, like, from my logic, what it should have been, I should have gone like start chords, okay, which is something that I have. So the start coordinate is a tuple, right? So I need the 0th element plus the end coordinate of this, and even that is a tuple, so 0th element, and then divided by 2. This will give me the first coordinate, kind of. Okay, and then we need the start coordinate and end coordinate divided by 2. So I'm actually going to copy paste this, copy and paste. Just now, the only change would be the first. It would be like now the first index, and that ideally should give me the midpoint. A plus b divided by 2, a plus b divided by 2. Yeah, I think so. And we need to define the icon underscore URL, and that should be the link that I shared with you all. So that is this one. Uh, Add it as a link icon slash string, and then we also can resize the icon. So I'm creating a new variable called as icon, where now we need something called as a custom icon. So folium.features custom icon. I think it should. Yep. So from this folium, where is it? Yeah. So from folium features custom icon, we can give it a icon image, an icon size, bunch of other things. But yeah, that's what we are going to do. So instead of writing folium.features.custom icon, you can, if you want, do something like from folium.features. So from folium.features, import custom icon. Yep. So we will just say custom icon. Okay. Custom icon, and then we need to give it the icon URL or icon name, which could be something like this. And then it also, you can also resize it. So I am going to say that icon dash, no, icon underscore, sorry, icon underscore size is equal to this 16 cross 16. And now I think there's something called as folium map marker. Okay, yep, this one. Yep. So this is what we are going to do. We are going to give this custom icon, okay, to the marker and use that. So let's do that. So I think you can do something like, oh, we are using folium as folium. Yep. So folium dot marker, and need to first give it a location where to plot this marker. So in our case, our location is going to be the midpoint, right? And what is the icon that it needs? It is going to be the icon that we have created, like this icon. So icon equals to icon. And okay, let's see if this works. Not too sure if it will properly. Oh, see, there's one thing that I forgot definitely, which was you need to kind of do dot add underscore to map. Okay, so what this is like a new thing that you need to add to the map. Now let's reload, and there we go. So there is the line. If like let's say zoom into this brown one, and I slowly like get it to be a pointer, it gives me thing. But this, the problem is that this plane does not give me anything. You can actually like add sorry, you can add a pop-up to this as well. So pop up, and you can copy the pop-up that you had previously, like exactly copy that and paste it. Let's reload, and there we go. So if you are not too zoomed in, it kind of looks about right. Okay, but as you start zooming in, it kind of goes away from its position. But now, once you click on it, like you can click on the line. So it's 101 LAX to LIH. And if you click on the plane, 101 LAX to LIH. So this plane is for this brown line, just like not exactly on the line. Okay. And unfortunately, I'll have to like look into it more as to how can I specifically plot it. One idea that might do something is instead of 16,16, if I make the plane small and make the line thicker, is that going to work? Not exactly. Kind of actually ruined it. I think 16 cross 60, 32 cross 32 actually, or 24 cross 24 size of the icon. Maybe that does the trick. Not too sure. Okay, a bigger plane, smaller line, kind of looks like yes, it does in a way. Not good idea, but hey, this is what it is for now. Okay, any questions, anyone? Let me go over to the code part. Let me share this again with you all. Very simply, all we did was like calculate the midpoint of where the plane should be shown on the line. So that is what the midpoint is doing. Gave it an icon. Doesn't have to be like a URL. You can actually have a icon in your file system, like save a PNG file here and use that. Gave it a custom icon, like icon URL and icon size, which we can change. And on folium marker, you do this. Uh, you know what? One more thing that I think it's not necessary to have the add line to map here. You can actually put it here exactly and then calculate the midpoint and add the icon to map. I'm sure it will work as well. Yep. Okay, so like look at this line. So on this line, the plane is at the center of this line. Like approximately you can think of it as to be at the center. Similarly, on this line, it approximately looks center. So that is what the midpoint calculation was for. And wow, lots of planes here. Okay. I hope you enjoyed the session. Any questions, anyone, before we end the session? I'll be here like for 5 more minutes for any questions that anyone has while I am writing down the exact thing that I asked. Uh, create a random color generator function which replaces colors array and can be used to color the lines. So I hope uh, not exactly homework, but let's say to do. Not exactly, okay, not even to do. Challenge. Okay, so this is the challenge for anyone and everyone who's interested. I want you to create a new function called as random color generator. So instead of having this list of colors, which replaces colors array list. Okay, that's a challenge. Interesting question. Is there an API which has flight data from every country? I think Flight Radar offers an API. I'm not too sure if it is paid or free. We can check it out right now. Flight Radar 24 API. Yeah, they have a REST API. You have to contact them to unlock access. But you can always say that you are a student who is just interested in building a project. So, not too sure if it needs to be a commercial one. You can say you are, yeah, want it for education. So maybe that could be one of the ideas. Let me share this link in the chat. Also, for anyone interested, this is the challenge that I have kind of posted for everyone. Uh, Flight data API, aviation stack, real-time flight status and global aviation data. Hmm, yeah, looks like there's another one. So there's this and there's this. Excuse me, sorry. uh okay, any other questions, anyone, before we end the session? It's been a pleasure, definitely, today, and I will be back tomorrow, and we are going to plot something different. We are going to plot the top companies in different continents. Right now, we were focused too much on like either one country or very specific thing. But what if we have data of countries, like multiple countries, spanning across multiple countries? How do you plot that? What if we don't have the latitude and longitude? Like till now, whatever we had very specific latitude and longitude. Be it the flights data, it had latitude, longitude. Cities data had latitude and longitude. What if we don't have that? How do you plot that? Is something that we're going to see tomorrow and learn tomorrow. So I hope to see you all tomorrow again. Uh, Here for 2 more minutes. If anyone has any questions, again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. It's been a pleasure. And if you want, like, have a quick break and you can come back for the next session. So the next session would be actually not exactly session. The next announcement is today in Global Hack Week Day 2. What's happening on Day 2? And after that, you have data processes with Python. Okay. So I hope you all enjoy those sessions. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Okay, there is another suggestion here. Skyscanner and FlightAware provide free APIs. Have a look at them. Thank you. And you too. Have a great day. Thanks. Okay, folks, that's it from me. Thanks a lot, everyone. See you tomorrow at 12 p.m. UK. Okay, so 4:30 p.m. IST, 7 a.m. Yeah, I think this is perfect. Yeah, this is correct one. Thanks a lot. See you all. Bye.